It revolutionized tank building, played an important role in the Battle of the Marne during the First World War. Today, it holds a leading position in the European electric car market. A look at the most significant chapters in Renault's history. How collaboration with the Nazis led to the tragic end of French inventor and company founder Louis Renault. And how a brilliant marketing move changed the fate of a small Pyrenean village. In September 1914, Paris stood on the brink of conquest. Just 40 kilometers from the French capital, German troops were positioned along the Marne River. They were successfully executing the so-called Schlieffen Plan, the Kaiser's army deployment strategy at the outset of World War I. German forces advanced through Belgium and Luxembourg to strike Paris. On September 5, Anglo-French forces launched a counteroffensive that would go down in history as the First Battle of the Marne. This battle would determine whether Germany could secure a swift victory on the Western Front. And in this decisive confrontation, Parisian taxes played a crucial role.
When the Germans broke through the front, a whole division was transferred with the help of a taxi just to a vulnerable piece of the front. And this decided the fate of Paris.
A total of 1,100 taxis were used, mostly Renaults. Each vehicle made 2 trips. On the way to the front, they carried 5 soldiers per car. On the return journey, they evacuated the wounded. The Anglo-French forces won the First Battle of the Marne, crushing Kaiser Wilhelm II's hopes for a swift victory over France. Renault taxis became forever known as the taxis of the Marne. The mastermind behind these iconic French automobiles was a child prodigy obsessed with machines, Louis Renault. Born in 1877 into a wealthy, large family, he spent his childhood tinkering with various mechanisms. Louis felt truly happy only when his hands were covered in grease.
At the age of 21, he designed and built his very first car, the Voiturette. On the night of December 25, 1898, as Paris celebrated Christmas, Renault amazed onlookers by speeding through the city streets at an astonishing 50 km per hour. He also managed to climb Montmartre's steep 13-degree incline, a remarkable feat at the time.
This impressive and spectacular debut resulted in an immediate 12 car orders, and Renault realized that his passion could become a highly profitable business. The following year, he joined forces with his brothers, Marcel and Fernand, to establish the company Renault Frères, Renault Brothers.
Their first logo featured the initials of all 3 founders. But most importantly, their surname appeared twice, creating a distinctive, mirrored design. This was their first official emblem.
Business took off immediately. Within the first 6 months, the company had produced 80 cars.
Louis focused on manufacturing and innovation, while Marcel and Fernand handled promotion. To popularize their automobiles, they participated in numerous races, a strategy that significantly boosted sales. However, the 1903 Paris-Madrid race ended in tragedy for the Renault family. Marcel failed to navigate a turn, suffered severe injuries, and died 2 days later.
From that moment on, Louis stopped racing personally, though Renault drivers continued to compete. In 1906, Hungarian driver Ferenc Sis won the French Grand Prix behind the wheel of a Renault AK.
A race car became a prominent feature of the company's logo.
5 years later, citing health issues, Fernand Renault stepped down, leaving Louis as the sole leader of the company. Then came World War I. By that time, Renault had expanded its production to include buses and trucks. Louis Renault donated this transport fleet to support the French army. Louis Renault's company also began producing artillery shells. Large conflicts boost the military industry. The First World War was a war of new technologies with which people used to destroy each other. Machine guns, poisonous gases, and tanks appeared in military theaters.
Different nations pursued different tank designs. The British built tanks with tracks running around the entire body. The Germans developed a tank with a large crew, but it moved sluggishly across the terrain.
Meanwhile, in 1916, Renault engineers designed a tank concept that would go on to shape modern armored warfare, a design still in use today.
Firstly, the tank's commander was strategically positioned at the front, with the combat compartment situated in the middle and the engine compartment located at the rear. Only their revolutionary tank, the Renault FT-17, was designed with a turret that could rotate a full 360 degrees, providing unmatched flexibility on the battlefield and allowing the crew to fire from either a powerful cannon or a machine gun in any direction, regardless of the tank's orientation.
The Renault FT-17 weighed about 6.5 tons, was 5 meters long, and had either a 37mm cannon or a 7.92mm machine gun, reaching speeds of 8 km per hour. From 1919 to 1923, the image of this tank was featured in the Renault company logo.
Based on the FT-17, the Italians developed their own tank, the Fiat 3000, which was lighter and faster than the original. In the United States, the M1918 was created, also known as the two-seater Ford.
By the end of 1918, a small number of 1917 tanks, by mere chance, ended up in Ukraine. These tanks were eventually captured by the advancing Soviet forces. These were advanced, state-of-the-art vehicles. The Red Army soldiers were astonished by them, and they decided to send one of these tanks as a gift to their beloved leader, Vladimir Lenin.
Lenin realized that he was holding very modern technology in his hands.
For a country that was actively engaging in acts of aggression, such advanced technology was absolutely essential. There's even a decree from the Council of People's Commissars to produce identical tanks at the Sormovo factory.
The French tank was transported by rail to the factory in Nizhny Novgorod.
It was disassembled into parts, but some components went missing. Where did they disappear? It's just that someone must have stolen them for themselves. Even the gearbox disappeared along the way. The engine was disassembled, and the body along with the tracks were transported separately. By the time it arrived at the factory, it was like a Lego set. Many parts were missing, and there was no documentation.
The missing parts were produced in the Soviet Union. The modified tank was named Freedom Fighter Comrade Lenin. A total of 15 units were made.